welcome to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
So we're about to get into some really compelling material that you actually shared with us.
Yeah, this one comes from Joseph Lavant's Life Unpacked.
Right, specifically an entry called I Know Your Name. And wow, it covers a lot. Understanding people, prejudice showing up where you don't expect it.
And just the real power in, like, simple human connection. It's quite a story.
It really is. So our mission here, I guess, is to unpack this personal story, not just retell it, but, pull out the insights.
Exactly. What's it really telling us about how we see each other? Maybe how bias can sneak in.
And, yeah, what we can learn about just acknowledging someone else, especially when the world feels pretty isolating sometimes.
It's a journey, this piece. It starts with the narrator's father and his unusual way of learning about people.
Yeah, unusual is a good word for it. Then there's this jarring run-in with prejudice.
And it all builds to this really moving, kind of mysterious moment in a church balcony, of all places.
Okay, let's dive in. So, the father's approach to understanding people. It wasn't academic, was it?
No, not at all. The source makes it clear it was very experiential. He would physically go visit different religious communities.
Attend services, gatherings.
Right. And his reasoning, according to the narrator, was basically that it's good to understand and perhaps even speak the language of others.
Speak the language. Not literally, but like getting their worldview.
Exactly. Understanding their belief systems to, better understand the people holding those beliefs. It's about empathy, really.
That feels deeper than just, tolerance. It's trying to genuinely comprehend.
And it wasn't just visiting. He pushed for serious reading, too.
Ah, yes. The source mentions that summer reading list.
Yeah.
Pretty intense.
Very. The Christian Gospels, the Quran, Islam's holy book, the Dhammapada from Buddhism, the Hindu Bhagavad Gita, the Confucian Analects.
He mentions the Hebrew Torah was still on the list, a work in progress.
It just shows this real commitment, doesn't it? To seriously engage with all these different ways of looking at life and meaning.
Which makes the next part even more, jarring. This happens in the same summer. He's deep in this study of understanding.
And he runs smack into blatant discrimination.
The oil change place incident.
Yeah. Simple oil change, really common car model, drops it off, grabs coffee, comes back.
And the car's not done.
Nope. And the reason they give is they don't have the right oil filter.
Which, for that car, highly unlikely.
Extremely. And when he asks when they'll get it, just a shrug, no idea.
It quickly becomes clear they just don't want him back there.
And the reason, he figures it out when he gets to his car. He sees a copy of the Quran on the back seat.
So they saw the book, assumed he was Muslim.
And refused service using this flimsy excuse. No questions asked, just assumption and refusal.
And this is where it gets, profoundly disturbing, really. His father is dedicating his life to teaching understanding, engaging with diverse beliefs.
And yet this incident just lays bare how easily pure ignorance, raw prejudice can just take over, even in something as simple as changing oil.
It's that contrast, the deliberate effort towards understanding versus this knee-jerk reaction.
What's so powerful and yet disturbing is how one object, a book, triggered it all. They knew nothing about him, his actual beliefs, anything.
The narrator says they had no idea what that meant, but their biases were set and they behaved accordingly.
It's a chilling reminder, isn't it? Bias isn't always loud and aggressive. Sometimes it's quiet exclusion based on, snap judgments.
So that encounter, it obviously stuck with him. A reminder of how quickly prejudice can pop up.
But then the source says he was about to learn a very different kind of lesson. One, his father seems to have engineered.
Which brings us to the early Sunday morning phone call.
Right. Father calls super early, insists he gets up, get dressed. They're going to church. Now.
Narrator's tired, argues. But the father's insistent. It has to be today, right now.
Classic cryptic dad move described in the source. Doesn't even say which church until they pull up.
And it turns out to be a Unitarian fellowship.
Yeah, which the narrator wasn't familiar with. Unitarianism often draws from many traditions, quite inclusive.
They get there, main floor's full, so they head up to the balcony, find some empty seats.
But then as more people come up to the balcony, this is where it gets a bit uncomfortable.
The source says, no one chose a seat anywhere near us. It felt deliberate.
Like they were being avoided. That feeling of being an outsider again, sort of echoing the garage maybe, though the reason here is unclear.
Could be anything, I suppose. But it adds to the tension. Narrator asks his dad, why this church?
And gets that classic answer again. You'll see.
Okay, so the service is about to start. Ministers at the podium.
And the balcony door opens. In comes an elderly man, leaning heavily on his wife's arm.
Walking very slowly, clearly with great difficulty. Each step looks like a real struggle.
And he's clutching a stained cloth, holding it tight to the side of his face.
And where do they end up sitting?
Right in the 2 empty seats directly in front of the narrator and his father.
As they settle in, the narrator sees what the cloth was hiding.
Yeah. The source describes it as a massive open ulcer.
Reading that description, the narrator's reaction is shock. Understandably.
He sees it as, quote, grotesque, but also immediately recognizes the immense suffering it represents. Just raw, visible pain.
He looks to his father instinctively like, what do we do? How do we react?
And the father just looks back completely impassive, no emotion whatsoever, offers zero guidance in that moment.
Wow. Okay, so the service continues.
Minister talks about love, a pretty universal theme.
The narrator reflects on that, how the basic ideas in religion are often similar.
But it's the practice, the human element, where things can sometimes go wrong, where hypocrisy creeps in.
Then the service ends. People start leaving. Narrator gets ready to go too.
But his father stops him, pulls him back down, whispers, wait.
Wait for them, he says, nodding towards the old man and his wife.
So they wait until the balcony is empty, just the four of them.
The wife helps the old man up. They start that slow walk to the door.
And that's when the father turns to the narrator with this just incredible instruction.
Go speak to him.
The narrator's like, speak to him, and say what? Total disbelief.
And the father gives this very specific, very mysterious message. Tell him your father knows his name.
Naturally, the narrator asks, wait, do you actually know him?
But the father just repeats it and adds the second part. Tell him that he's not alone.
Just those two things. My father knows his name, and he's not alone.
Then he says, then you're done. He'll understand. Now go.
So the narrator goes, heart pounding, totally confused, feeling scared, not getting the meaning at all.
He catches them right at the door, apologizes for interrupting. They stop, look surprised.
He hesitates, then gets the first part out. My father knows his name.
And the man's reaction. The source says his jaw fell slightly agape as though hearing something in what I said. Like it registered on some deeper level.
That reaction seems to give the narrator courage.
And then he says he doesn't know why, but he leans in close, right to the man's ear.
And whispers the second part, you're not alone.
And then does something even more unexpected. Kisses the man gently on the cheek.
Wow. And the wife's reaction. It's immediate and powerful.
I told him, she cries out to the narrator. I told him we had to come here today. He didn't want to.
She grabs the narrator's shoulders, repeating, I knew something would happen.
It suggests this deep feeling she had, right? That something significant was meant to happen there, like faith or intuition, maybe.
Absolutely. A sense of destiny, almost.
The narrator. He's just overwhelmed, gets out of there fast. A bit of a blur, he says.
Yeah, anxious, worried the wife is telling everyone what just happened, runs to the car.
And his father's already there, waiting.
He gets in, turns away from his father, and just starts crying quietly.
And the father's reaction to this is also striking.
Nothing. No. Are you okay? No thanks. No good job.
Just silence.
Which the narrator says he didn't expect anyway. And crucially, they never spoke about it again.
Isn't that something? This intensely orchestrated emotional event just left unspoken between them. He didn't even ask his dad how he knew something would happen. Just accepted this quiet, almost mystical side of him.
The narrator's big takeaway, the thing that stays with him, is about people carrying these grave wounds.
Which can be physical, like the man's ulcer, but also psychological, spiritual, invisible wounds.
Right. People who feel utterly alone in that pain. He felt the old man was lucky that day.
Lucky because a stranger showed up, seemingly out of nowhere.
With exactly the message he needed, delivered in a way that made it land with incredible impact. Circumstances made it powerful.
And this is the pivot. This is where the story turns directly to you, the listener.
Yes, the narrator explicitly says, it doesn't take a guy like me and my father to deliver messages like that. You can do it too.
Lots of people need to hear it. That's the core message there.
If you step back from the specifics, it just powerfully underlines how common unseen struggles are and the isolation that goes with them.
The man's wound was visible, impossible to ignore. But the story implies so many others suffer alone with wounds no one can see.
It really does make you think about our own role, doesn't it? The potential we have, maybe an underestimate for simple connection, just acknowledging someone.
Okay, so let's try and summarize some key insights from this deep dive into I Know Your Name.
Well, first, there's the father's core belief. The value of really trying to understand other people's belief systems. Not just tolerating, but understanding them.
Then, boom, the sharp contrast. How easily ignorance and prejudice can flare up, like at the garage. A real wake-up call.
Definitely. Then there's the sheer impact of encountering visible suffering, like with the old man. It's visceral.
And maybe the biggest takeaway, the almost mysterious power of just acknowledging someone's struggle, saying, I see you, you're not alone, even as a stranger.
It shows that real understanding, it isn't just intellectual, is it? It takes empathy, being present, being willing to connect, even when it's uncomfortable.
And the source wraps it up by delivering that message, rooted in the Father's wisdom, directly to you, listening now.
My Father knows your name. You are not alone.
It's such a simple yet profound statement in this context.
It really is. It makes you think about how that encounter, maybe orchestrated, maybe just serendipitous, delivered something so fundamental, that need to not feel isolated.
It definitely makes me pause and think about all the unseen grave wounds people around us might be carrying every day.
And how maybe a simple act, just acknowledging them, could be exactly what they need in that moment, even if we don't know their story.
And the narrator's point is crucial. You can do it too. This isn't some special power.
It's about human connection, available to all of us.
So maybe the final thought to leave you with, building on this story. How can we get better at noticing those around us who might be feeling isolated in their pain, even when it's invisible?
And what simple act of acknowledgement, our own version of saying, I know your name or you're not alone, what difference could that make in someone's world today?